a tremendous amount. If this didn't work, it would be a tragedy. Because, but that's what he loves. He loves the military. I never talked to him about anything else. He'd talk about the military. He'd come to see me about a soldier that was unfairly treated, and could I help? That's the only thing I virtually ever talked to him about. And I always remembered it. I've seen him many times, and I don't think I've ever had a subject on anything other than military with him. And if this didn't work out for him, it would be actually sort of tragic.
Meanwhile, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Trump's pick to head the Department of Health and Human Services, will be back on Capitol Hill today for a second round of meetings with senators as he looks to gain enough support for confirmation. An NBC News source familiar with Kennedy's plan says he's looking to meet with more than 24 Republican lawmakers this week alone. Kennedy, of course, has been seen as one of Trump's more controversial cabinet picks and will likely face questions over his long history of anti-vaccine rhetoric, as well as his stance on abortion. For his part, RFK Jr. said that he does support the polio vaccine.
Do you mind repeating what you said previously about the polio vaccine?
Do you support it? Yeah, I support it.
Brief there. Yesterday, during his first day of meetings, he saw support from several GOP senators, including Markwayne Mullin of Oklahoma and Rick Scott of Florida. But at least one Senate Republican is openly questioning RFK Jr.'s qualifications. Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana took this jab at Trump's pick.
You know, if he comes by, I'll probably talk to him about his PhD in cellular and molecular biology. Oh, wait, he doesn't have one. I forgot.
Joining us now, White House reporter for Bloomberg, Akayla Gardner. Akayla, good to see you. You were at President-elect Trump's Mar-a-Lago news conference yesterday. Freewheeling lasted nearly an hour. And he talked about the moment we wanted to highlight here is one we showed earlier about him weighing in on senators who don't support his cabinet picks and very much suggesting that some of them, anyway, could be primaried. What's the latest? Give us your response to that and the latest you've heard from his team about this pressure campaign to push GOP senators to yes.
Yeah, well, really the origin of this question was Senator Joni Ernst, who has received a primary challenge for 2026 because of her skepticism of Pete Hegseth, who, of course, has been nominated to be the defense secretary. And she was particularly concerned about allegations against him related to sexual assault, his past comments saying he didn't support women in combat roles. But we have really seen her reverse course because of the pressure campaign specifically on her. And she met with Pete Hegseth and was basically able to get some concessions from him, asking him to commit to having a senior official really committed to equity issues. And I think that's something that we might see with other picks, including Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who's been nominated for this health secretary role. We could see him potentially committing to, he has already committed to saying he won't take away vaccines. He's committed to supporting the polio vaccine specifically. So this might be a route that we see Republicans go through because there has been this pressure, particularly from MAGA space, not even necessarily from Donald Trump himself, but his supporters who really believe that he has this mandate from winning the election to really be able to put these people in office. So we could see senators go this route rather than having to really lose some political capital at the beginning of this new session of Congress where Trump and his allies really have a lot of things that they want to get done. And this could really set them off on the wrong foot if Trump is not able to get in a significant number of his nominees.
It's been interesting how Trump has, for him anyway, been content to lay low since the election. That seems like it's changing, though. He made the trip to the Army-Navy game in D.C. over the weekend. Yesterday, this news conference. It does seem like perhaps he himself might be on the verge of putting that pressure on your Republicans who might be reticent. Let's talk a little bit more about RFK Jr. He was on the Hill yesterday. He'll be back there today. As we just played, at least Republican Senator Kennedy of Louisiana, usually a staunch supporter of Trump and all that he does, seemed to hesitate when it came to RFK Jr. What's the sense there from the Hill and the Trump team as to whether or not Kennedy at this moment has enough votes to get confirmed?
Yeah, well, Senator Mullin really came out and strongly support Robert F. Kennedy Jr. yesterday. And again, seeming to get those concessions from him. He also talked about abortion yesterday. This is something that Former Vice President Mike Pence really raised concerns about Robert F. Kennedy Jr. with his stance supporting abortion. So we could, again, see senators really seek these specific concessions here. But I think we're going to start to see maybe more senators start to be more outspoken after we've seen now Senator Joni Ernst coming out, and now you see Senator Kennedy. So maybe more senators are going to be feeling more comfortable speaking about their views here. But right now, we're still seeing a lot of these conversations taking place behind closed doors. People still are not comfortable, especially after we've seen, again, these pressure campaigns play out.
And lastly, Kayla, at the news conference yesterday, you asked Trump about his stance on TikTok. Remind viewers what he felt about the app run by the Chinese government when he was in office, and now what he thinks he'll do here ahead of a looming U.S. ban that would take effect in just a few weeks' time.
Yeah, well, when Trump was first in office, he really pushed this idea of banning TikTok over national security concerns. And that is the reason that it is set to be banned next month on January 19th because of this bipartisan bill that was signed by senators or Congress members on both sides of the aisle. And yet he did say on the campaign trail that he plans to save TikTok. He really had strong words about wanting to use the app and really touting it yesterday as a way for him to win young voters. And yet we didn't see him go as far yesterday. He said that we're taking a look at this in terms of ways to prevent the ban from going there. But again, his hands are really tied in the situation. TikTok has asked the Supreme Court to step in, but this is in law. He cannot just sign this away necessarily through executive order. So again, he's really going to have to look for ways for potentially TikTok to divest here or for the Supreme Court to step in. But again, he's really acknowledging here that they're taking a look at it, seeing what's on the table, but legally his hands could really be tied.
Yeah, and they certainly used TikTok to their advantage during the campaign, and we'll see this decision may impact relations with Beijing as Trump takes office. White House reporter for Akayla Gardner. Akayla, thank you so much for being with us this morning. We really appreciate it. Next up here, what we're learning this morning about a private school shooting in Wisconsin that left a teacher and student dead and several others injured. Plus, multiple federal agencies are now weighing in on the reported drone sightings across the Northeast. We'll bring you the latest. Those stories and a check on sports and weather. We come right back.
T-Mobile has a gift for everyone 55 and up this holiday season. 2 lines of unlimited for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings compared to Verizon and AT&T.
The price, it is a phenomenal value.
Unwrapped savings on America's largest and fastest 5G network.
While we're out doing the fun things we like to do, with T-Mobile, I get reliable coverage. It's great.
Customers 55 and up get an exclusive rate plan for just $30 a line.
T-Mobile has been such a savings for us.
We love it.
Switch today.
If you think of most great technology, starting with the Gutenberg printing press, going to the telephone, the internet, they go through 3.
When you need brutal honesty, when you need answers first thing in the morning, when you need to go deep inside Washington and hear from someone who's been there, you need your Morning Joe, weekdays at 6, only on MSNBC.
I think people still like experiences and being around other people. I think sports in general is the last destination programming on TV that people actually sit down and watch live. I may want to have, let's say, sports betting content built into my live broadcast. My son may want his fantasy team built into his live experience. And then some people like to watch sports like it's always been broadcast. So I think you're going to have choice. When women were allowed to start playing the sports and they were supporting women's sports in colleges and things of that nature, then the quality of the athletes were getting better and better. I mean, in my lifetime, I don't think I'd ever really see the day where March Madness, where the women out-delivered the men's tournament in ratings.
Each week on my podcast, I'm joined by uniquely qualified guests who help me take a big picture look at the issues, like Representative Jasmine Crockett, late night host Seth Meyers, former Attorney General Eric Holder, and many more. Why is this happening? Listen now.
Welcome back as we take a look at some of the morning's other top headlines. Authorities have now identified the suspect in a private school shooting that happened in Madison, Wisconsin yesterday. Police there say a teacher and student were killed and 6 others were injured when a 15-year-old female student opened fire. NBC News correspondent Shaquille Brewster brings us the latest.
Heartbreak hits the Midwest after a shooting at Abundant Life Christian School in Madison, Wisconsin.
We know that 3 people are dead, including the suspect shooter. We know that the suspect shooter was a teenage student who attended the school.
A teacher and teenage student were killed in the shooting.
Everybody can come in. All EMS can come in. Shooter is down.
Police say the scene was confined to one space in the small private school, which houses kindergarten through 12th grade.
2 students are now in critical condition in the hospital, and these injuries are considered life-threatening injuries.
Police crediting a team of medics who were conducting a training exercise nearby for rushing in to aid the response. Neighbors witnessed the scramble.
I saw groups of kids coming out of the school in groups into the church sanctuary, probably as they were in lockdown and clearing the building and slowly taking out the kids bit by bit by bit.
According to an NBC News tally, this is the 4th active shooting in an American school this year. Police say a handgun was used, but say they don't yet have details of a possible motive. The police chief says the shooter's family is cooperating. The White House says federal officials have offered support to local authorities to aid with the investigation. Last year, a shooting at a Christian school in Nashville left 6 people dead. The shooter, a former student, was shot dead at the scene. Parents in Wisconsin left shaken as another community is again left in mourning.
This is not okay. If your kids are at school, they are not okay. If they are at church, they are not okay. If they are outside, elsewhere, they are not okay. Where are they going to be safe?
Heartbreaking there. And our thanks to NBC's Shaquille Brewster for his reporting. Meanwhile, multiple security agencies in the federal government issued a joint statement last night regarding the recent drone sightings across the Northeast. The statement by the Department of Homeland Security, the Defense Department, the FBI, and the Federal Aviation Administration reads in part this way. Having closely examined the technical data and tips from concerned citizens, we assess that the sightings to date include a combination of lawful commercial drones, hobbyist drones, law enforcement drones, as well as manned fixed-wing aircraft, helicopters, and stars mistakenly reported as drones. This statement comes after our New York City affiliate, WNBC, spoke to the NYPD's counterterrorism chief regarding the reported sightings.
We have been telling people to report stuff that they're seeing. If you see something, say something. However, and this is really important, that doesn't mean that you're seeing something new. We have a whole lot of air activity